We've created a wine compass in O'Brien's to categorise the different styles of wine so that you can find your own style. Toasty Complex Sparkling, the richest, most concentrated of our sparkling wine styles. What determines the Toasty Complex Sparkling? It's the grape varieties, it's where it grows. It's the interpretation of the terroir by the winemaker or the particular vintage in which the grapes were grown. In this case, first of all, we're going to talk about Crozer, which is a sparkling wine from the Adelaide Hills in Australia. It's actually made in the champagne method, so the traditional method, second fermentation in bottle, which gives the bubbles, and it also gives the toasty autolytic character, which is the beautiful relationship between the wine and the spent yeast lees in the bottle. It's quite powerful, it's quite toasty. You've got lots of bready aromas. You have a slight underlying nuttiness, as well as some green apple and honey. So an absolute cacophony of aromas and flavours in this wine. Quite a powerful wine, in fact, maybe more like a wine than a sparkling wine. Very, very appropriate for food matching. On the flavours and on the palate, the fresh apple carries through. You've got some toast, you've got some honey, but it's quite rich and quite concentrated across the overall palate. So a fantastic wine style to match with food. Aperitifs, yes, just a glass of wine on its own, but this style of sparkling wine can work extremely well with a meal. So this could work beautifully with smoked salmon, could work with goat's cheese, and if you enjoy sparkling wine, it's definitely a style of sparkling wine that you could take into a main course and have with lighter foods. Moving on then to number 2, which is actually Bollinger Champagne. This is one of the richer and most fuller styles of non-vintage champagnes. Non-vintage champagnes is typically a blend of different grape varieties. So in this case, Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier and Pinot Noir, but also a blend of different villages and also a blend of different vintages, because non-vintage champagne is ultimately a blend. And the reason that the wines are blended is because each year the champagne house wants to offer a very consistent wine style. And because the weather can be quite challenging in Champagne, the best way to do that is to blend vineyards, villages and vintages of different wines to create a consistent style. And Bollinger's style is rich and toasty. So if you like a fuller style of sparkling wine, then reach for the Bollinger Champagne. You can see the colour again, quite a rich colour. Use your sheet of white paper to check. On the nose, you've actually got hints of caramel. It's toasty, it's very, very bready, even bordering on yeasty. Quite complex, there's some spice in there as well. And fruit-wise, it's kind of quince almost. Then on the palate, honeyed, toasty, yeasty, full and concentrated. These styles of wines can get quite expensive. Krug is probably the most famous of the toasty, complex champagne styles. But to be honest, if you have a non-vintage champagne and you like that style, non-vintage champagne can age quite successfully in your cupboard for 2 or 3 years. Make sure it's in a cool, dark place. And if you like a bit of richness and concentration, 2 or 3 years in a non-vintage champagne is a good and inexpensive way to get towards this toasty style.